In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the Quantum VWAP Pro indicator, and in particular the VWAP variant, because there are 4 other variants that come with this particular indicator. If I just, let's select the 20-minute time frame here, just pop this up full size for you. And if we just click on the settings here, just to show you the inputs, we are focusing on the VWAP here, which, just to remind you, resets every time the new session starts. So as you can see over here on the right-hand side of the chart, on the session which was yesterday, this is where the VWAP begins its calculation. So if we just go back into settings again, there we go. So this is the VWAP. We then have the AVWAP, which is the anchored VWAP, and I've covered all these in an introductory video as well. We've got the MVWAP, which is the moving volume weighted average price, which moves across the time horizon. So rather than being restricted to the session start point, which you are with the VWAP, which is the most popular one, I should have said that the anchored VWAP allows you to anchor at any point that you consider significant, so a significant high or a significant low, whatever that may be based upon, whether it's a volume region, whether it is an accumulation distribution level, whether it's a volatility spike, whether it's a candle of significance, whatever it may be, you select those points yourself and anchor the VWAP accordingly. So that's the anchored VWAP. The moving volume weighted average price moves across the time horizons. The TWAP is a time weighted average price, very interesting variant, but actually weights according to time. And finally, we have what we call the intraday VWAP, which moves very much to the slower time frames, because you cannot use the VWAP on a daily chart, but you can with the intraday VWAP. This only works on the daily, and down from there to the slower time frames of the weekly and the monthly. So you have a complete suite of indicators here, and rather than create them as individual indicators, they're all extremely popular in different ways, although the one we've created here, the intraday, is generally not available anywhere. So you have a complete suite of tools from which to select whether you're an intraday trader, whether you want to move across time horizons, or whether you're much more from an investment perspective, applying the indicator to the slower time frame chart. So it's all here in one indicator. In terms of meta, it was a very interesting day yesterday. Just to remind you, the VWAP is the center line here, and then we have what we call our envelopes, the upper envelope and the lower envelope. And these are 1 standard deviation away from the VWAP itself. Now you can configure these to whatever you wish. These are defaulted to 1, but you can have them as whole numbers, or you can have them as decimal numbers. You can have 1.5, 1.2, 1.7, whatever, or 2, whichever you prefer. But we have them defaulted to 1 on the system. And as always, volume price analysis, the volume price analysis methodology gives you the trigger of confidence to either get into a trade, to hold a trade, or to get out of a position. So they are absolutely key, which is why I have the volume with the chart as well as the indicator itself, because they are the trigger. And this is a very nice example. We open with very good solid volume, nice move to the downside, lots of buying coming in under here. And then off we go to the upside, gapped up open. As you can see, this was the previous close, gapped up open. And on we go, very much following the 1 standard deviation envelope all the way up to the top. And then we get a very strong signal of weakness to come, which is based on this volume bar here. You can see the weakness in the candle here. We do carry on for a little bit and try to rally further, and then we start to see the reversal and the rollover. So if you were in this trend, riding it higher, fantastic. This might be an opportunity that you might look to short. Certainly that's a sign of weakness, and it did actually go down as far as the VWAP. Now, I've mentioned this before in other videos on other platforms, and I'll mention it here again all the time, because it is a characteristic of the VWAP. It's very much in the DNA, if you like. You will see this a great deal across all the time frames, where the price action reverts to the VWAP and then bounces off again, and often continues in the same trend as indeed it did here. It recovered and it went back to pretty much the same level to close at almost the same level as we were at over here. So you will see this a great deal. It is as I say, it's a characteristic of the VWAP, and it acts as support. And indeed, in the same way that the envelopes themselves acts as resistance or support, depending on which way you're going, so you will see that effect also from the VWAP across the time frame. So a really nice example there, bringing together some of the elements, I think, of the VWAP itself, combining it with volume and the visitation to the VWAP once a trend is underway, or the revisiting, if you like. A similar sort of principle, we drop down onto the 15-minute. We saw the rally here on the outer envelope, coming down to test the VWAP here. Widen this out a little bit, make it easier on the eye. There we go. Down onto the VWAP and then back up to the outer envelope again. So a very nice solid move there. And as I say, it works in exactly the same way in all the time frames. Let's hop over onto the 5-minute here. Just pull that down a little bit. There we go. There we are. Okay. And again, we pick up the volume price analysis signals that we see, of which there are plenty in here, but just to highlight really at the tops, where you've got perhaps the highest volume of the session here. We're on the, what are we on, the 5-minute here. And these two candles are associated with these two volume bars. So the first one, fine, perhaps a little heavyweight on the volume, but the next one, only a little bit wider, but we've got a substantial amount of volume being driven into that particular candle. So it definitely looks a little tired. There is effort going in, but the result is really not moving the stock that much further higher, because on that sort of volume, we would expect a substantial candle, and we're just not seeing it. And that's also repeated across here to a lower level, but nevertheless, we've got lots of effort going in here, and it really is not going anywhere. So if you've ridden this higher, this may well be an opportunity to say, well, thanks for the ride. I've enjoyed the journey. I'm going to close out and take my profit, because we've moved up well beyond the outer envelope, and it's now looking as though the trend is getting a little bit tired here. It's not necessarily a rollover situation, but it does indeed descend down to the VWAP in due course. Whether you choose to short that, that's a personal decision from there. But certainly if you were taking or riding a nice trend up this far, then that may well be the signal to close out at least, if not all, certainly most of a position at that particular point. So again, a really, really nice, solid example of using the VWAP, and the takeaway lessons are, as always, use multiple time frames, watch how the price action will revisit the VWAP itself, look at its association with the outer envelopes, and above all else, use volume price analysis as your trigger methodology for getting in, staying in, and getting out. So I hope you've enjoyed this particular video. Lots more to come. So thanks for watching. See you soon, and bye for now.